any bank coming to us looking for more money is going to have to show how they're going to impose losses on their junior bondholders, on their senior bondholders, and their other creditors before they come looking to us for any more money. Not from that extent. Oh, no, you can't decide.
Reason. It's not that I am confusing the end with the beginning. It's that you are the sovereign people. That used to mean something. You know that moment in the courtroom before proceedings start and the bench is empty and the people in the court are waiting. And then the door opens at the back, and the tip staff, or whatever he's called, walks out, and behind him the judge. And he says, the tip staff says, "All rise." And the judge comes out, and he approximately jerks his head in the direction of the court. And the people, with varying degrees of obsequiousness, go. We have had this the wrong way around for a long time. The judge is supposed to bow to the people. And the fact that he doesn't means that we have lost a sense of what it is to be a republic. And we have also lost a sense of what it is to be a democracy. Because there are many symptoms of a democracy, which is a different thing to a republic, related, but it's a different thing. It means more than putting a mark on a piece of paper every 2 years. It means to make our own laws, but it also means to be able to have the right to speak, to talk about our own laws. And this right is now diminishing rapidly in front of our eyes, because the elites, or as I call them, the E-listers, who run us, have decided that the people are an inconvenience. If they had their way, they would have an election to elect the new people. Democracy is a very profound thing. It has many, many qualities which we have lost. The quality of, for example, the meaning of justice. We talk now about equality, but let's talk about justice. And Thomas Aquinas defined justice: to give to each what is owed with a perpetual, constant will. That's all we need. To give to each what is owed with a perpetual, constant will. That definition of justice is not something that we can take for granted. It's not to be counted upon as something constant unless we nurture it and cultivate it and conserve it. And this is the meaning of that much maligned, demonized word, conserve. Conserve the protections and the institutions which are vital for our civilization and our freedoms. In my lifetime, I've watched all of these values come under constant attack. I've seen the press, a great historic institution that served as the fourth buttress of democracy, the fourth estate, turn rogue, and it has turned rogue, becoming as a wrecking ball, directed at everything in our inheritance of history and tradition and faith and family relationships, turning upon the people it was supposed to serve, and ipso facto upon their children and on their children's children. And that's why I quit journalism, Irish journalism, 3 years ago. Above all, Ireland is a nation. Warwick Pearce, in his essay The Spiritual Nation, defined Irish nationality as an ancient spiritual tradition. And he didn't say, by the way, in the modern strawman caricature, that it was an Irish Catholic tradition, or an Irish Catholic and Gaelic tradition. His view of nationhood was based on Ralph Thomas Davis, who held that nationality was a spirituality, a power alive in the land, into which all of those who lived in that land could become connected. By Pearce's definition, this did not exclude anyone who wished to bear it allegiance, although this didn't mean the same as that the Irish nation is simply the postmodern sum of influences brought together in the population. The Irish nation was not confined to Gaelic Ireland, but Gaelic Ireland was its cornerstone. And Pearce said that when the last Gael survived, Ireland would continue to exist. But when the last Gael died, Ireland too would die. Meanwhile, he said, those who imagined some objection to this idea as arising from the presence of other nationalities did not understand the concept of nationhood at all. Nations are always being fertilized from the riches of other cultures. This is what makes them great, and is what made Ireland great. Freedom, for Davis and for Pearce, amounted to no more and no less than the rights of man in Ireland. But this idea too has become perverted, and I want to return to it. Ireland now faces a future of being in the future none of the above. Not a nation, not a democracy, not a republic. It is no longer a nation except perhaps in the hearts of a minority of its people, or its population. It is not a republic in anything but name, and it is not a democracy because it no longer even is capable of providing citizens with the means of a proper and useful conversation or ensuring a shared culture of values and understandings. Ajit Raj asked us a question last night. How on earth did Ireland, having fought so hard and so long for its freedom, so easily, so lightly give it away again? It's a very good question, and there are many ways we can go about it. I don't have time to go into them, but fundamentally there are two, I believe. One is like the prosaic, the other is a little bit more profound. The prosaic one is simply economics. That because of the strange and awful circumstances in which we found our freedom, globally I mean, and the period through which the early years of that freedom, so-called, prevailed, an idea who took root in Ireland that in fact we were incapable of managing our own affairs. That the objective circumstances seemed to indicate always that we were always to be dependent on some other outside force. And the other one, of course, apparent relation to that was the colonial legacy, the psychological legacy of dependency and self-hatred and self-doubt and fear and all of those things, which caused us to rush into the embrace again of another dependency. Let us never forget, though, that at the heart of our relationship with Europe is not a great affection. We have no affection for the EU. The EU is not Europe. We have an affection, or various affections, many affections for Europe, but the EU is not Europe, and never was. And our relationship with the EU was predominantly and solely to do with money. Because money was what allowed our leaders to run this country, because they had never any inkling of how to go about running it themselves. They depended on that money. They could not govern without that money. That's why we developed this so-called love affair with Europe, which the women polls still seem to bear out, but which I believe deeper down is not a love affair. It was an arranged marriage. And there was a moment in November 2011 when we realised this. You remember those dark days of November? We watched the Troika stalking the streets of Dublin, announcing their presence, announcing their power. The humiliation of that. And yet, it's like as if this happened a century ago. Today, we're back, as it were, on the pig's back, and none of it is even remembered. And that's the point I want to make, really. There's a real difficulty here about the idea of our